Welcome, Internet, to the PixelPlay Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast for gamers by gamers. I'm one of your co-hosts, Kaylan, aka Catastrophe, joined as always by my co-host, Adam at CS Radical and Chris at Gin and Chris. This week, we are talking all about Sony PlayStation and Jim Ryan leaving as president of PlayStation. We're going to talk about what his legacy is, as well as what we would do should we get the job that we applied for. With that being said, gentlemen, how are we all doing this week?
Good.
It's weird. It's
Good.
October and it's warm again. But then again,
Right?
It's Canada. It never does make sense in the early fall.
Yeah, I was outside playing in the sprinkler with my kid today. Like, it's October and I'm playing in the sprinkler.
I mean,
It's
don't
great.
get me wrong. I'm not complaining. The less time that we have with snow every year, I'm okay with that. The problem is my brain immediately goes, okay, so it's going to be cold all the way into mid-April then. Okay, got it.
No, this is the beauty. This is what's gonna happen, Adam. The water's gonna get cold, like warm on the lakes. They're not gonna freeze. Lots of snow. I'm going snowboarding this whole winter. It's gonna be fantastic.
I mean, I'm even though I work from home, I'm still praying for last year's winter where there was almost no snow the entire year.
Don't
It
you
was
dare!
great.
Don't you dare! I got a
Don't you
snow
dare.
pass. I gotta pay for. I got
Oh,
a
you
ski
can
pass I
go
gotta
on
pay for.
hills. They put fake snow up there anyway. You're fine.
Not the same. It's not the same. Chris, what about you? What's new with you, buddy?
I mean, I don't mind if it snows. I like snow. I just don't like really cold. So I like when it snows because that usually means it's only like -1 or 2 degrees Celsius. You know, it's not too bad.
The
Unlike
moisture's on the ground, not in the air.
Yeah, it's not like -25 where I'm dying just to go check the mail. But other than that, I completed Sea of Stars, so I finally took the dive into Starfield like yesterday. But I feel
How
like
far?
I've
Tell me.
lived. I'm not that far. Like I'm level 8.
Have you gotten off
and
New Atlantis yet?
I've gotten off of it, but I haven't started the second main mission.
Oh, neither have
that's
I.
about
I'm
right.
level 18. I'm level 18. I haven't started the second main mission either. I'm just like, hey, want to be a cowboy? Yep. Hey, want to come be a space marine? Yep. Hey, want to go explore this planet? Yep. Like, it's
Yeah,
you
I'm
don't
just
get anything done there.
lost. I think I'm doing the missions that the Vanguard started, like that area. And I'm just in it. And I'm so interested in the side quest content that I'm actually not. I forgot for a second, like, wait, where am I supposed to? Nah, it doesn't matter. And I'm just off doing my thing.
Let fast
That's
travel
it.
do it for you.
Yes, the fast travel. Yes. That is the only, the one gripe I have is that when you fast travel to a planet and you can see where you need to go, like your quest marker on the planet, like in front of you from your ship, there should be a thing where, like, when you're looking at that spot on the planet, it then comes up with the button for fast travel. Like, if you're in that area looking at the planet, but obviously you're not close enough to, like,
If you
do
press
anything
A.
and interact. Yeah, I've
Press
tried hitting
A.
A and stuff, but I think
And then
that it's...
we have to scan
Is
the
it-
planet. Once you scan the planet once, then you just press A, and then there'll be a button that says land here.
Oh, it does let you do that. I have to scan it first. Okay, good.
Yeah.
My complaint
Yeah.
is now gone.
I
This
mean,
game
that
is
and
perfect.
also, if you've already visited the planet before, you can literally just go through the mission screen and fast travel. It'll take you to the
yeah.
nearest checkpoint.
Yeah,
So,
that I've done.
I want to bring up an issue because, like, a lot of people have been complaining, like, oh, it's all just fast travel, fast travel. No offense, I think of that game like it would be boring. Like, think of how boring it would be to do space travel in this game because it would literally just be
100%.
point in this direction and just wait.
Well,
So
those
there's
people are
nothing
EVE
exciting.
Online players, and I don't know how the heck they do what they do, so...
Yeah.
This is
Like,
true.
I don't know how they would make space travel compelling other than just throwing, once again, random dodge this like asteroid field, dodge these pirates. Like, there's not much to make it intuitive, but I
No.
think it
Yeah,
was
like, you really
a
think
good
about
call.
it, there's nothing in space. So you're just gonna fly and see the same moon not get closer for about an hour, and then it's slightly closer, and then another hour later, it's slightly closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how people think space travel's a lot faster than it would actually be.
Yeah, I don't know
Oh,
if
it's
y'all know what a
fast.
light year
It's
is.
just far.
It's not this far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fast. It's just not far. It's far.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my only thing because, like, I would find I would fast travel to a system because it's a new planet I hadn't been to before, and I saw it and I could see my quest marker, like, on the planet, like, this is where you need to go for your quest. And I was like, I don't want to have to go back into the menu to then land and fast travel there, which is what I was doing. But now that I know I can just scan the planet, that's more intuitive. I don't
Yeah,
mind
there's
the fast
definitely a thing
traveling,
I'd
but-
fix too. The HUD for the overworld is kind of shit. It's a little
Yeah.
clunky. Could be a lot better.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not
I
great.
think of what Mass Effect did with their system. It was pretty straightforward, so it wasn't too
Yeah.
over the top. It was nice too because, like, with Mass Effect's overworld, you had like this almost like top down, like almost like if you were like looking at a tabletop and your ship flying through the galaxy that way, rather than, you know, having to do button, 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 drag the cursor here, button, button, and then finally you're there. Or you just do the mission screen and that solves your problem almost immediately. But
Yeah. I was frustrated too, where I thought I had to keep going into the menu to go to inventory to switch my weapons until I realized you could favorite 12 of them to the D-pad. And I was like, oh, never mind. Okay. So it turns out my complaint isn't that the intuitive things aren't there. It's that they're not shown to me. And then I play for a while without them. And then I'm frustrated. And I'm like, oh, somebody should have told me this. Stupid no games coming with instruction manuals anymore.
it's great that they
Bring
give
back
you
the
12
90s.
spots, because for the most part, by the end of the game, you're using 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Because everything
Right now
else
I'm
is kind of
using like
garbage.
4. Yeah. Right now I'm using 4, and it's just because they're like different types, like one's non-lethal and stuff like that. Actually, maybe one of them's also a med pack and not even a gun. I can't remember. But,
Oh, for me, it was
but
literally by the end of the game, it was shotgun, it was rifle, it was sniper rifle if I was really far away and just wanted to have some fun picking shit off, and med pack. Everything else was like, you're there in case I want to have some fun and use something else for 5 seconds until I like the other weapon that does more damage.
My favorite gun right now is the Eon. Love that gun.
I've, to be completely honest, yeah, I've been loving the pistols. I have a shotgun for when like things, you know, shit
Get
hits
personal?
the fan. Yeah, but I use a pistol for almost everything, and I'm putting most of my skill points into upgrading the damage pistols do.
Yep.
Very rewarding. I don't know what it is about the pistol, but I'm really liking it. Which normally I'm not a pistol guy when it comes to games. So, but yeah, like I love the game, and playing it on Xbox, I was like, oh, it's only gonna be 30 FPS. I'm not really used to that and stuff, but it's really not that bad or noticeable for
Also,
the most
if you play
part.
a
I'm
Bethesda
finding.
game, you're kind of used to it being that way anyway,
I
so it's
think
not
that
really
might
that
be
jarring.
it. Yeah, I think it might just be it's a Bethesda game that's, and I know people have been like, oh, there's some bugs and stuff. This to me is like the smoothest running Bethesda game I think I've ever played.
Yep.
And that's probably why I was like, this is the greatest made game. It's flawless. No. It's the best Bethesda game.
I don't
that's
think
been
it
made.
should get a nomination for Game of the Year this year, but I feel like it should have an honorable mention just for being a Bethesda game that actually wasn't a complete total trash fire at day one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's like a
I'm kinda
lifetime
liking it.
achievement
I
award
like
for
it.
them.
Yeah.
I see this having Game of the Year potential. I'm loving it, but
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I
the
do
only
see it having
reason
the
that I have trouble with it is because I do believe in my heart of hearts that there are more than 6 games better than it. So it's hard to say, but then again, because it is the big Xbox game, you never know if it's going to get some special attention anyway. In the same way that, you know, no matter what happens, there's going to be a Nintendo game in there somewhere, whether or not it's a good year. So it's just that kind of thing. I figure if Starfield's going to get there, it's because they needed Xbox representation. But I don't know by the end of this year that I would consider it being in the top 6 if we're going with like the Game Awards setup. But hey, like we still got 3 months left to figure that out. So we'll worry about that later.
and this month is going to be busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely could tell it was a Bethesda game still, because like I was having a conversation with one person. I would go over to my companion, Sarah Morgan, who, by the way, I plan on romancing. I already decided.
Ooh,
Oh,
sounds serious.
And as soon as it went to her, she was behind a door in the other room. So typical Bethesda, it was a door I kept having a conversation with.
It's the
and I was
best though.
like,
When you're talking to somebody and their back's turned to you, it's great because the entire time they talk and they slightly turn their head over when they're trying to talk to you.
Yeah, I've been purposely doing that, like for very important story missions, and I'm like, oh, I get to talk to you. Yeah, I'm talking from behind. Let's see how this goes. I like to do it just because it's funny. But yeah, I'm screwed. I don't know why I did this. I had picked up PlayStation gift card a little bit ago because I was like, well, games are coming out. I got to get one, or I should use it before I do something stupid. And I pre-ordered. I'm so interested, even if it's bad, that I have to play it, that I pre-ordered Mirage Assassin's Creed, because it comes out like tomorrow or the next day. Apparently it comes out in like 2 days. It comes out on the 5th.
What?
So by the time you're listening to this, it's coming out maybe tomorrow if you're listening to this day
October
1.
5th.
Yeah.
It comes out on like a Thursday?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird how like some games are now like they're not adopting the Tuesday side or the Friday side. Now they're just like, let's pick a day.
Yeah. I
be fair,
looked today.
I'm very pro this move, because if you get the game, you can get the game on Thursday, download it, install it, whatever. Like,
take the Friday
I've done
off.
You guys all remember my Horizon scenario where I took the day off to play Horizon. And did I talk about this on the podcast? I think I did. where
Yeah,
I
you had,
paid,
like the
I
updates were ridiculous. Or
took the
whatever.
day off, and then the time to download and update. I wasn't playing it till like 3 o'clock, anyways.
Yeah, it's already pre-installing. Ubisoft already has the pre-install going because apparently the game releases in less than 48 hours.
But I'm a physical person. I'm old man. I remember.
Oh,
This is
Well,
right.
a
that sounds like a
problem.
you problem.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely a you problem. I'm in the future where I'm installing the pre-order content, which is like one mission that's probably going to be boring.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well, when the solar flares wipe out all the servers and you've got no games and I still got my physical ones I can at least look at, who's laughing now?
well, me, because that's the plot of Assassin's Creed 3 in the modern day. Solar flares. But yeah, I pre-ordered that. So I'm going to give it a try, but I know that I'm going to be splitting my time between it and Starfield. And the rest of my backlog is like, you bastard. You're playing a game off a subscription service and a new game instead of any of us. So that'll be interesting to talk about next week when if
I'm
hoping
very
I have
eager
time.
to see what you think.
Yeah,
Adam, what about you?
I'm-
Oh,
just
sorry.
want to get in there, even if it's bad. I just wanted to get in there and play it to be a part of it being bad and be like, nope, okay, never mind. Assassin's Creed, I hate you now.
The one benefit of like the busy year that we have is it's going to be one of the first holiday seasons where I have such a backlog of games that like I can put them as like on a wish list. Like I've not had to do it because it's been so staggered before that I usually like I'm getting them as I go, but I'm so backlogged now that it's like, yeah, I'm gonna put some on the list. It'll be a Christmas like I'm 12 again, where it's like video game, video game, video game.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
upside too on my end is that, you know, no matter what happens, I can more often than not, even when I finish something, there's that moment of like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? But it's the idea of I have options rather than, fuck, what am I gonna do? Like you look through your library for the 1,000th time, be like, I've already played all of this. I don't want to replay any of this. What am I gonna do? Now it's like you hop on Game Pass, you pop in extra. Like I have. What did I take? Oh yeah, I got Star Ocean, Divine Force sitting and waiting whenever Sea of Stars is done. I have Cyberpunk, like we said, to see how Phantom Liberty shakes out. You know, there's a lot of things with between Game Pass and Extra that give me something to go for. It may not be like I end up playing it for the entirety of its cycle, but at the very least, I have something to try rather than staring endlessly, being like, well, I don't want to spend any money on this right now. Like, sure, I'd love to play Marvel Midnight Suns, but I don't really feel like paying full price on Steam for it right now. So, no.
So you're still playing Star Ocean, Adam?
Or I'm still playing Sea of Stars, yeah. I am.
Whatever.
Chris will know where I'm at. I just finished the Sky Base, so I'm getting pretty close to what I assume is the end because they're giving me travel to basically go everywhere now.
Yeah, I 100%ed that game. I went and got
I
every
will
achievement.
definitely not
and
be doing that.
I was so into it, and I was like, I'm not doing that. One of those achievements is just like a grind for 4 hours for no reason, but I beat the game, and I was like, I have to keep going. I can't
We've
stop.
talked
I
this.
love this so much. Yeah,
We've talked to this. You have a disease.
I do have a disease.
You both have one. You're both like people that try to 100% shit.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
but Kaylan
selective.
knows when to stop.
Mine is a
Kaylan-
badge. Mine is a badge that I give out to games. Like if you look at my platinum trophies, they're pretty much just games that I, one, are not bullshit for the most part, and two are like badges of like, yeah, you've done it. I've like seal of approval.
And then the
Yeah, I've
third
done
option,
it.
which is Last of Us, because we all know it's a terrible game. And now moving
How
on.
dare you?
Oh.
But yeah,
I'm-
I assume I'm getting
yeah.
close to finishing. So like, it's still at the point, and I'm pretty sure I'll say this when it's all said and done. I do not believe for a second it's better than Chained Echoes, but I would not be shocked if this is one of the Game of the Year nominees because it is a testament to one of the better indie games out there. It definitely does check off all the boxes. It's just not hitting the same way, but it may also just because it's now later in the year when I've already had so many other indie experiences that I have already so many other things to pull from now. So it's not quite hitting the same way. But either way, it's fine. Other than that, I've been just kind of tinkering with an old game I've been on and off playing. I don't know if I've talked about Played Up on the show before.
Played
I don't
up.
think so.
You've talked to me, I think, but it might be been an in real life conversation.
Yeah, it
I'm
might
not
have
sure
been.
if it was
So
podcast
if
or
either of you
IRL.
have played like Overcooked before or know of Overcooked, where it's like that
Yeah.
co-op like cooking game where it's trying to like deal with all the chaos. Played Up is similar to that, but it's more of a roguelike rather than just a straight up like set level like Overcooked does. So roguelike, you just pick a floor plan that gives you like, okay, here's where you'll probably want to set up your dining area. Here's where you want to set up your actual cooking area. And then you pick up a recipe and it starts you off with a base recipe and you go. And every round they start adding more people. They add a couple of cards that could give you either a new appliance, like some things to maybe make things faster. Eventually, as you get later into the game, you get options that might lead to more automation, which is where the late game goes, where you get into like overtime, where you've already like finished the main amount of rounds that you're supposed to do, and then overtime is just, okay, how long can you last before we finally get you out?
Oh God.
And automation is the
much
point
more
where it
stressful.
has to be like that, but it doesn't always work that way, because sometimes the cards you get don't really help you. Like, for example, me and my friends, we were playing, and we decided to do cakes as a recipe, and it starts you off with just a cookie recipe, and that's it, but it gives you one cookie tray, and you can only do one tray per flavor, and they can give you multiple flavors as things go on if you get one of those cards. And the game decided that it's going to keep giving us options to either pick a new flavor or add a new recipe or take some other card that's going to make things like really, really difficult. So we keep picking the flavor. Well, the game also decides it doesn't want to give us a second cookie tray, so it's really hard to cook multiple flavors because it's not letting us do that. So we played all the way to the 15 main rounds, no second cookie tray. We get another 4 days of overtime. We now at this point have 3 cookie flavors, brownies, donuts. We're just all over the place. Finally gives us one cookie tray. We're like, thank fucking God. And we literally blow it because there's just too much going on by that point. It's like, thanks, guys. Would have been nice if you gave us a little bit of help earlier. But it's actually a pretty fun game because it's not a game that's, like very it's chill, but at the same time it also requires you to stay focused too. Like, it's not like stressful, it's more just, or not angry stressful, it's more just like, oh, this is fun, but oh crap, we gotta catch up, and you eventually just, it's more like a happy panic. So it's been a very fun thing, and they've done a pretty good job of upgrading the game over time. Like, they've added more and more stuff for free. They've done pretty good at keeping it alive, because I hadn't touched it in a few months, came back to it, and there's a couple more recipes. They've added some new items that make the automation even crazier. Now they have things like a teleporter, so it's like you can literally have something go to at the other end of the restaurant and teleport it right to a table if you wanted to just be like, here, we're just going to boom, 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 get everything right to them, and no one has to walk anywhere. So it's kind of like a fun little thing where it's good casually, and then it's also really good for people that like getting really complex with it. And again, the roguelite factor makes it it's never the same game. Even if you pick the same recipe and the same floor pan, you're likely never going to get the same close setup. You're going to get different stuff at different times. So you're going to have to kind of adapt to what you have. So it's a pretty fun, like, 4-player co-op game. It's definitely one of those ones that, like, I know, Chris, with our group, it'd be a cool thing to try with people someday, too, whenever it goes on sale on Steam.
100%. I have never been so stressed out and hungry at the same time from a description of something. You were talking about the stress teleporters of throwing food at people that maybe they didn't order, but it's teleporting to their table. But then you mentioned things like donuts and cookies, and I was like,
my favorite thing is when you get
just
breakfast. Because the breakfast default recipe is just toast. That's it. You can go the entirety of the game and never pick another recipe, and I just love the idea of you're a restaurant that just serves toast and nothing else. It's great.
Wait, can you win that way? Like, you can actually succeed?
Like, it always gives you like a choice of 2 cards, so it could be like a recipe and customers are 20% less patient or something like that. So it could there are things like that. So you don't have to pick a recipe at ever if you don't want to. I don't think there's ever scenarios where you ever get 2 recipes in the same round. So you could literally just go with just making like toast or chocolate chip cookies or just regular pepperoni pizza. Like, you can just do the one thing the entire time if you really want to. You're probably handicapping yourself pretty hard because usually adding another recipe lowers the amount of group sizes that you get daily. So it's advantageous to pick more recipes because it may be more work for you, but it's also going to mean less customers, which means you're not going to get nearly as overwhelmed so fast. So generally speaking, you want to pick a recipe or 2 because by day 15, sure, you may only have to make toast, but you have a small-ass restaurant with 5 tables, and there's 35 groups coming in. Good luck.
Man, that toast is popular.
Yeah. And we toasted to our success.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's been the podcast, everybody. No, I'm kidding.
In terms of me, yeah, it's been pretty quiet. Like, still going through Starfield, still going through Tears of the Kingdom. I'm hitting a point where I'm kind of like, ugh. So once again, in typical video game fashion, water levels suck. I'm playing the water level of Legend of Zelda, and it sucks.
What a surprise!
And Yeah, I mean, it's just a rule of video games. But I'm also getting to the point where I'm like, I just busted my ass like getting to like getting up the waterfall and getting through like all the like the broken areas. And I'm like, oh, okay, I must be getting close to the boss battle. Nope, just starting the water temple. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, so I've hit the first hurdle where I'm just like, it's feeling like a chore, and I don't want to keep doing it. So.
Yeah, water temples be like that. I do remember that part. Because it's not just a normal water temple. It just happens to be in the sky. Yeah. And you're not a bird.
Yeah.
So
Yep. And it's all like zero gravity and stuff, and it sucks. It totally sucks.
You ever been in water? Clearly. It's just zero gravity.
Pretty much. And then Starfield, I was going through it and I was like, all right, finally gonna knuckle down and do another campaign. And I was flying to the thing, and then they're like, hey, this colony is being attacked by space pirates. Can you come help us? And I'm like, yeah. And once again, I'm not getting the main story done at all. So, yep, pretty much where I'm at.
Oh, I love it. Such a good game.
Yeah, it is good. I'm not gonna have it done in time for Spider-Man, let alone Assassin's Creed. So those are just everything's getting pushed back.
Just take a good 50 hours between now and Friday and finish it off, and you can play some Assassins.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Job and kids don't need they don't need my attention.
Well,
what, you don't have a hyperbaric time space chamber like in Dragon Ball where you can just like sit in there and time really doesn't pass in the outside world and time passes?
I do, but it's broken, so I gotta fix it. So.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Take your kid out of school. Nothing teaches you life like travel in space, right? Space exploration.
True.
Think of all the education in there.
I'm pretty sure Miss Fizzle took the kids on a field trip to space. It's like the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Oh, don't get me started on that episode. The amount of times those kids would have died horribly too.
I mean, to be fair, I think Arnold was going to sacrifice himself and take off his mask or something like that.
Oh, he did. And then he became an ice cube.
Yeah. Yeah,
and didn't die.
I forgot how dark that episode was.
It got heavy.
Well, like, when you really think about it, the one thing about that episode, and I'm sorry for the aside here, but, like, they flew into the big red spot of Jupiter. There's no way... I don't know what that bus is made of. That doesn't survive the gravitational pull that place has.
Made of magic, Adam.
I was going to say, like, Adam, so we're getting past the fact that a bus transforms into a planetary exploring spaceship. The kids are in and out before the end of school, but really that's the line that we're like, no, that's too far.
If magic can handle the gravity so big that it wouldn't compress you immediately, I mean, props to whoever that fucking wizard is, because goddamn, they got some power. But side note, if you got that kind of powered wizard, the fuck you doing helping with a school bus? You got priorities. You're completely wrong.
Yeah.
I wonder if like Miss Frizzle made that bus herself or something like that. And then I'm just like, or I wonder if that's why like the school system's just so underfunded, because it all went to that one bus.
One class.
Yeah, you know that is the privileged class for sure.
100%.
Yeah. Could have solved other problems there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's as good a time. We've been talking for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and have not even gotten to this week's topic. So I figure now is as good a time as any. Guys, I don't know if you heard it, but Jim Ryan is leaving PlayStation.
I had no idea. You never said anything about it, and we're not like, you didn't have like your own like parade about it. I'm sure everybody saw it on Twitter, or sorry, X. I gotta remember the names correct.
Yeah.
Like just the amount of people that showed up, and by people I mean literally copies of Kaylan, just all over the place.
Kaylan and his bots. Yep. Yeah. So Jim Ryan's out. Apparently he's retiring. He's gotten tired of traveling to and from Europe to LA, and so he's out. And so I thought, this week would be a fun exercise to kind of talk about like, what is the legacy of Jim Ryan going to be? Like, is he going to be remembered well? What's he going to be remembered for? Like, did you think he did a good job? Yeah. So I'm going to throw it to you guys. Let's start with Adam. Adam, what do you think? What is Jim Ryan's legacy? Like, is he going to be remembered fondly? Did he do good for PlayStation, or did he set it back?
I mean, it depends on what your metrics are, right? I mean, we're talking about him starting and basically overseeing the launch of the PS5. And I mean, they're breaking records with that console. So I don't see that, at least from a business perspective, I imagine Sony's pretty happy with the job that he's done in the time he's overseen the company. I mean, as a fan from what the console has done, like, I'm pretty happy with the console is. Sure, I may not think it looks the greatest, but hey, I could care less because I barely ever look at it because the screen is here and the PlayStation is there. I don't have to look at it. But like, we're talking about a console that has done pretty goddamn well. It's provided a lot of high class games in the course of that time period. We do now have a subscription service. Could it be better? Of course it could be, but I don't think anybody knew or anybody thought from the beginning that it was announced that it was ever going to be close to what Game Pass is, because the same amount of money just isn't there on Sony's end. But they provided at least with what I believe to be a decent, second option if you're looking to have that on if that's your only console and that's your subscription service, it's not bad for what you're paying for, realistically. Could it be better, like I said? Yeah, but that's not really what I'm concerned with right now, because my thought process is it's not a complete waste of money, which is, well, okay, premium is definitely a complete waste of your extra money, but that's different. But like, I think overall, like from a business perspective, Sony's over the moon happy about it. And as a gamer, like, I don't really have an opinion per se. I don't have anything to be upset about, which is probably where I'm at. Like, I'm not, like, him leaving to me doesn't suddenly make me feel any different. Like, I don't know that, what was the guy's name that's supposed to be stepping in? Hiroki Tatsuki. I don't think him stepping in is suddenly making me go, oh, it's going to be so much better now, or oh my god, it's going to get so much worse. I'm just more like, okay. That's pretty much it for me, honestly.
All right. Well, Kaylan, I assume you want to go last. I feel like we should put Kaylan's last. If I go after Kaylan, I'm going to be like, yeah, you can skip me. So I'll quickly go. For me, I had to look it up because I was like, when did he become like CEO? When did he become the guy in charge? And it was 2018. And when I saw that it was 2018, I thought that was really interesting because it's only been, 2018 to now with a pandemic in the middle of it, but also like a lot of decisions have been made, right? Like you think of 2018, you've got like the new God of War, I think. You've got Spider-Man, I think. Like again, I don't know, I didn't look up the exact dates, but I know this is kind of obviously that time. On the PS4. And what else? And Horizon, I think, had just come out or something. So really good time for PlayStation, PS4, and everything. And when I look back on the PS4's time, I know that there was the PSVR, but I don't know when that exactly came out because it's all right near his like beginning time. But then after that, that's where it seems like a lot of things started, of course, happening. PS5's coming out, which I mean, to me is a fantastic system. At least I think it's a fantastic one all around. But obviously we got like good decisions and we got weird decisions, in my opinion. And I'm not saying they're necessarily bad. Okay, maybe they are kind of bad. They're bad business decisions, not necessarily bad products, depending the way you look at it. Because you get things like the PSVR 2. I don't think the PSVR 2 is a bad product. I think that it's an incredible piece of tech. I think the business decisions that went with it were strange, of it being extremely expensive, but then that only being a PS5 PlayStation headset. Like either make it that expensive and then open it up so that it can be used with PC or other areas, or, bring the price down because this is connected to only a 600 at least Canadian dollar system, right? So you get like the PSVR. And then of course you have like the PlayStation Portable or whatever. What is it? Portal? PlayStation Portal?
Portal. Yeah.
The new PSP. That thing's coming out, which is a weird decision in my eyes. Again, it could have been different, probably would have sold well, but it's like kind of an interesting decision. You've got even just like the PS5 headset, like the PS4 one was like a pretty average gamer headset, and then the PlayStation 5 one comes out and it's very futuristic looking. Like it all has a completely different look. So again, like I don't hate it, but it is a weird, interesting choice for some of the things. But then also at the same time, you've got the second God of War, which is an incredible game. You've got Horizon Forbidden West. If you like that type of game, I know it's not for everybody, but if you do like that game, I look back on that game extremely fondly. I raced to get the platinum in that one because I was enjoying myself so much for the most part. Spider-Man 2 is coming. That looks like much more of the same. And I know some people, again, it'll be, like, oh, it's much more of the same. It's not changing anything. But again, it's kind of like if it isn't broke, don't fix it, because there's already so many other Sony things changing. Let's keep some stuff the same. So I feel like the games themselves are still outstanding for the ones that we've gotten, at least so far. but the actual peripherals and everything like that is kind of like they've been trying different things, kind of being all over the place, which has been very interesting and weird because like some stuff I'd get excited for a moment, and then I'm like, nope, weird business decision. This no longer is for me. I don't need a cloud service only streaming thing. I don't need the PSVR 2 if it's going to be like 1.35% higher than whatever. Like I can't justify its price and all this other stuff, right? So it's hard to kind of say like, oh, you know, did he do a great job or a bad job? I think he did a great job with certain things, and then if he was the one making the decisions for some other stuff, it was just weird choices. Not like necessarily bad, like, oh, you made this crap product, because again, PSVR 2 I don't think is crap. It's just like you've just immediately ruined it by making it now out of everybody's reach. Like it's just weird decisions, right? And then kind of the last talk that was going on with him that he was saying was like all the live service games that are coming. It hasn't happened yet. Will it still happen? Who knows? Obviously, they're working on it. That's what they said. But yeah, so it's kind of like I can't even really comment on that because it's a weird decision that was maybe coming, and then maybe now it's not. But would have he still gone through with it? Would have he put out one and then been like, yeah, this was not a good idea. Let's shift over back to those single player games or whatever. Like, it's tough because I think he did do good things, and I still look at Sony really, really well. One of my favorite consoles. But yeah, just some weird business decisions. So I'll kind of look back at this generation, much like I look at the pandemic, where I'm like, that was a weird time. That's kind of weird at times, right? Like, I think I'm just going to attach the two of them. So who knows?
Yeah, I've not been a fan of Jim Ryan, and this is coming from someone who is a huge Sony fanboy. I've made my basement into basically a shrine to PlayStation. And for the last couple of years, I've not been thrilled with what PlayStation's been doing. And I attribute a lot of that to Jim Ryan and the decisions that he's been making, or at least the ones that he's been greenlighting. So I know a lot of people give a lot of credit to, oh, like, hey, the PlayStation 5 has been selling well, but like he wasn't developing it. He didn't design the PlayStation. That was something that was designed before he got there. I mean, you think that these things take a while before they get like there's a lot of time that goes into R&D and development. Like I don't think he was involved with that. But if we're looking at a sales perspective, like I'm looking right here, just doing like a search through Google, and as of April 2023, so about almost 4 years into the PlayStation 5 life cycle, it's at 38 million, right? And if we look at what the PlayStation 4 did about this time, 3.5 to 4 years in, PlayStation 4 had sold almost 75 million copies. So like it's behind in terms of what PlayStation 4 is doing. And I attribute that to the fact that like, yes, we had a pandemic. Yes, it was hard to get stock and stuff, but like, I feel like that's past now. And I feel like Sony went into PlayStation 4 with a massive lead over Xbox. Xbox shot themselves in the foot. Sony was miles ahead of them. And I feel like Xbox has caught up by being more consumer friendly, by being a better value. And I feel like PlayStation has gone very much back to their arrogant PS3 days where they were ahead of them, like ahead in the lead. They overpriced. They kind of just became arrogant, right? And I feel like that's Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan is a true sense corporate suit, right? He's there to make the shareholders happy, the stockholders happy, and it comes at the cost of the players who are the bread and butter. I think there's also an argument to be made that his decisions that he's made for PlayStation haven't been beneficial, right? So they came up with the PSVR, cool concept. It had some legs. It wasn't a failure, but then they come up with PSVR 2. And sure, once again, the technology is leaps and bounds ahead, but at the same time, it's been priced out of the market. Like I don't know anyone who's gotten a PSVR 2. And I know at least a couple people who had like the original one. I think they overpriced it, which then kills the amount of people who have it, which then kills the market for people to develop games for it. So like I think that was kind of DOA, and I think that was largely not because of technology or because of lack of games, but because people were priced out of the market, and that killed the buyer base for it. And then like it's hard to say because we haven't had our hands on the PlayStation Portal, but we see handhelds being huge, right? Like we have things like I forget what the name, like the Backbone. We have things like Steam Deck. We have things like Switch. Like there is a thing for handhelds, And then they come out with a $300 streaming service that has no difference, it seems to be, from what I could do with my phone, other than it just comes with the controller. And it's like, well, why am I dropping that much money to do something I can do with just buying an extra DualShock, or buying a backbone for half the price? Like, there doesn't seem to be a benefit in doing that. Now, granted, I'm willing to accept that when it gets out into the market, we could see that maybe there is a better connection, maybe it does utilize network performance better. I don't know, but I mean, that's due out in November.
Yeah, it's
And
supposed to be November, I think.
I'm not hearing anything. Like, there's no excitement, there's no buzz for it. Like, I know it's out, like, sold out in Japan, but I mean, I think that's the only market that I can see where this is going to thrive in. So, and then they launched the online service to compete with Game Pass, and once again, that kind of tripped and fell on its face as well. Like, they have the PlayStation Premium thing, and they, like, the backwards compatibility to the backlog is abysmal compared to what Nintendo offers. The games aren't, it's not captivating. Like, you have to wait 6 months or 12 months to 18 months to play, their peak games. Like, God of War's not even on there, and God of War's been out for over a year now, or almost a year, and like, you still can't play that on their service. So, like, they're not competing with Xbox's Game Pass, and maybe they can't, but I mean, don't do a half-ass effort. And then within that same year, without doing any improvements, have jacked up the price. I don't know, like, I just don't like it, what he's done, and I think that there's gonna be some long-term ramifications for the poor decisions that he's made. For example, like, I think this games as service is gonna start impacting Sony. Like, we haven't gotten as many exclusives as we used to. Like, we used to get like one pretty frequently, but it's been a lot harder, and they seem to be coming out a lot fewer and fewer. And I think it's because there was an internal push that Union had to make games as services that a lot of studios weren't prepared to do and aren't familiar with building. And so it's like, going back to Adam's thing, it's like having a baker and teaching them to cook a steak. Sure, they know their way around a kitchen, but it's two separate things. And like, there's something that they have to learn to pivot, and that's going to be a hard transition. And so I think going as the games of service has kind of hit their, like, kind of put a snag into what they do. And we see things like Naughty Dog this week has kind of said that, Last of Us Factions is not going well from an online perspective, and there's been trouble in that game. And I think it got canceled, and they've had to let go of some staff. And I think that's an example of just like the games of service mantra kind of biting Sony in the ass. And now Naughty Dog is out time, money to make a game that's never going to come out. And it's Naughty Dog, one of, if not the pinnacle of what Sony Studios does. And they're struggling because of this push. And I think there's going to be a lot of games that had this push for live service or games as service and are going to kind of trip up because it's hard to do. So, I mean, you could definitely do a games as service, but have this idea that we're going to have 17 different games as services. Like, it's far too much. And I don't know. I think it comes across as very, like, money hungry and very corporate. And that's not how PlayStation thrives. Right. And I think that we're going to see the ramifications, repercussions for years to come, for a couple years as they kind of try and course correct. Adam.
It very much is a case of when what Sony does best, they're always on top of. And then when they try to do something that somebody else is already making money on, they're way behind the game and it's too late. Mm-hmm. Like, look, I disagree on the whole PlayStation subscription service. I don't think it was put out to die. I think they just didn't make every single tier worthwhile. I don't believe for a second that there is anything wrong with extra for what it offers. Because, I mean, every month when I see that list of games, I go, cool, that's 3 or 4 things I want to play on that list. Perfect. That's what I want. Now, granted, if you're like somebody who's constantly buying things day one, I'm sorry, but if you think PlayStation Extra is going to be for you, like, you're the one buying all of the big games. What do you think's coming out for it then? So, like, because I've seen that complaint. Well, I don't like none of the big games I've already got. I'm like, that's your own damn fault. You're the one buying everything day one. Like, this is where the thing of being patient works for you. Like, Game Pass, sure, you're going to get that deal. But again, I keep going back to this every time we talk about the difference between these two. Look at the fucking money that look at the value of each of these two companies and explain to me why Sony should be putting out the exact same thing Microsoft does. It just isn't financially feasible. You have to at least have some sort of business sense to go, okay, I understand why Extra is like a light version of what Game Pass is, because literally Sony cannot afford to have all of their biggest games make almost zero money for them. It just isn't tenable. But like the only complaint I have with their subscription service is premium because it's dog shit. That's going to be one of the things that if I had the reins, I would change immediately. But we'll get into that because I think that's our second half. But like,
I mean, that's as good of a time to get into it as any. So
yeah, but I mean to
All right,
cap
right.
off what you were saying too, like the decisions that were made in terms of live service again is a case of they saw the money, except they were way too late. In the same vein that so many companies tried to make MMOs after World of Warcraft was already 5 months or 5 years in, and all of a sudden everybody wanted to be World of Warcraft. Now everybody wants to be Fortnite because they see the money that Fortnite generates. And it's like, guys, how many different generations do companies need to look at until they finally fucking figure out that there can only be 1, 2, or at most 3 of something before it gets completely diluted? Sure, you can have a live service game today, but don't have a big budget like Last of Us Factions. Whenever it was told to me at the beginning that it was a multiplayer game, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. The second that it was being shown as a live service, I know it's fucking dead. There's no way. It'll have its like couple of months of assuming it's a good game, but it won't last because none of them do anymore because they all go back to Fortnite. They all go back to Warzone. You can't do that. Only one game ever took Warcraft off its perch, and that was Final Fantasy XIV. And it took it 2 tries, by the way. And then on top of that, it's not like Warcraft is all of a sudden dead. It just is 1A and 1B with Final Fantasy XIV. But it took 500 tries for somebody to do that. And Sony thinks that probably, I don't know if it's Jim Ryan or if it's the people out in Japan or whoever it is, like in the background going, we got to make this live service money. They're thinking, we'll be Fortnite 1B. No, you fucking won't, because there's already 1B, C, D, E, F, and G. You are only going to be H at best, and the budget you're putting behind Last of Us Factions ain't going to make you enough money to get back in H tier. So good luck with that. So like, I think a lot of the business decisions that I disagree with come from pure corporate greed, which is like 99% of all gaming companies, aside from what at this point, Larian Studios. So, I don't think we have much else to complain. Like, it's just the same complaint that I have with every other company because they're all trying to find ways to nickel and dime us further.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree very much on everything.
Especially H tier.
So let's pivot.
for sure.
Let's pivot. So we've kind of set our piece on Jim Ryan. He's out. There's a little bit of a vacancy. There's a vacuum. They're going to be looking for someone to replace him long term. We're up. This is our time, guys. This is our chance. So I figured we could do our pitches. What would you guys do? Sony's giving you guys the reign. You're now, the big man on top. How do you guys run Sony? What do you scrap? What do you keep? What do you change? Adam or Chris, why don't you go first? You're big boss at PlayStation. What do you do?
Again, if I have to
Not Metal Gear
apply
big
for
boss, though, just to be clear.
What? That was the only point I had. No.
How is it? I swear, PlayStation should make the top person just big boss. It's a missed opportunity.
It is a missed opportunity for sure. I mean, for me, there's obviously a few things that I would change. I would focus on making Sony. I think, Kaylan, you're very spot on with the whole corporate money approach versus consumer/gamer approach, because it is a gaming company. It's like people who make movies should make that for people who watch movies. You make gaming console and peripherals and games, make it for gamers, right? If you know your clients, they'll buy your stuff. And kind of just pivot back to that, focusing on stuff they know people will buy. I think Sony has a bad habit, and I think they've had it since PlayStation 3. Somebody comes out with something, it's a unique idea, works well. Sony's like, I got to copy it now. We got to do it. They already have their own stuff. It's not like Sony only does this. They already have their own stuff. Their killer single player games and all that kind of stuff. But the Wii came out and then it was so PlayStation 3 was like, we need the PlayStation Move. It's that kind of stuff. Get rid of all that, right? Just focus on having an awesome system with awesome games. And if peripherals are made, make them at a point where they are consumer friendly and consumers will actually buy it. Because even if it's a little bit less money per system or per peripheral, you're going to make money if you sell more of them versus very little of them. So PlayStation VR 2, for example, I think it's a great product. Figure out how to make that cheaper or make it open up to more people so they'll buy it, kind of thing, right? When it comes to the system itself, I think the system is great. I wouldn't make like many changes with anything software wise or anything. I think that's doing fine. Games wise, immediately pivot away from live service, go back to like a lot of single player stuff. And you know what? You want to make some unique stuff to stand out? Do that. Do something unique. Adam, you were saying everybody's kind of copying like battle royales and live service and stuff. Nintendo has done something recently, and Nintendo doesn't do a lot of like unique stuff very much anymore. But they came out with their own battle royale. They were like, "Hey, battle royales are cool, but we're not going to try and make a shooter or anything like that. We have no chance. What are you going to do? Like a Super Mario battle royale? It won't work." So they came out with like Tetris 99, which is 99 people playing Tetris against each other, because that hadn't been done before. That was unique. It's something everybody already likes, and it's unique, and it just was a part of their online service. It's not a game you buy. You're already Nintendo Switch Online. Here you go. Here's your Tetris 99. They just recently came out with F-Zero 99. And it's the old Super Nintendo F-Zero with you and 98 other people trying to kill each other on a racetrack in Super Nintendo graphics. And again, it's just included with their service. So again, unique concept, and people are already going to play it because they're just encouraging people to stay subscribed to their service, which doesn't always have like that keeping power, right? Because not everybody plays a lot of online or is going to play Super Nintendo games that often. They need the subscription. They're keeping ways to at least keep people interested, even if it's not as frequent enough. Sony needs something like that, right? They need to come out with something if they want something unique. Don't just copy and like, all right, we need to put out live service games or whatever. They got to come up with their own unique idea, some sort of unique online game. Maybe it's a part of PlayStation Plus, like it's the only way to play it. It's not available to buy. It's not like it's a good game, and it's just if you're subscribed to PS Plus, here is blank. I don't know, kind of like a PlayStation All-Stars racing game. I don't know. It could be freaking anything. Like just come up with something like that that makes people go like, "Oh wow, Sony's trying something unique, and look, it's just there for everybody in PlayStation Plus." Or it's $20 because that's how like it's a cheap game to be made, even if it's a $50 game, but like obviously the value of the product matches the price versus something crappy that's still like $80 or $90. I think kind of focus on that kind of stuff, right? And when it comes to the other one I want to talk about was PlayStation Plus. I do agree with Adam that I think that PlayStation Plus Extra, whatever the heck it's called, I do like Extra. I don't use it that often because I think that if you have Game Pass and you have Extra, maybe both isn't always necessary. But again, that's for certain people. Not everybody has both systems. Not everybody has both subscription services. And then some people may have a PC and a PlayStation. And then again, you might need both because playing a game on your PC versus the console on your TV, two different experiences. So it really depends on everybody's situation. And I do think Extra has its place, and I do like it. The changes I would make there: one, announce what games are leaving every month. They don't do that. I have to read like a random article that's put out every month where Xbox actually advertises, here's what's coming, here's what's been added today, here's what's leaving soon. Like they let you know constantly so you don't miss out on a game you might play. And I would get rid of the whole platinum, what's it called? What's the highest tier? I don't even remember. Premium. I just get rid of premium. The few games that are in there, throw it into Extra. Why would you charge so much extra just for a few games that you can buy on their store for like $7.99? Legend of Dragoon. I was like, this is the only reason I would need premium, and you could just buy it for like $8 Canadian or something. I was like, why would I subscribe? It's silly. That should just be in the Extra and always kind of be there. And I think that whatever cloud gaming they're kind of working on, like they had PS Now, like if I were them, I would have just figured out how to take PlayStation Plus, give it that extra tier, take PS Now that they had, which was like their cloud, throw it into one service. And there you go. There's your PlayStation Plus Extra. And then still have the PlayStation Essential or whatever for just the monthly games. Like still have that and then have the subscription. But instead of so many different tiers and everything they had was just in that one thing, and it's got its value because that way if you're doing the streaming like PS Now, maybe you like retro games, maybe you like some modern games that are 6 months old that are now being added, they're all in the one tier, so no longer are people feeling like, oh, it's not as good as Game Pass or whatever. No, because it's its own thing. You're playing retro PS1 games. Xbox doesn't have that. PS Now, I mean, that's similar to the xCloud, but still, it's there, and it still has like those modern games. Will it be the same as Game Pass? No. But is it going to be the same price as Game Pass? No, also, it is still a little bit cheaper. So it kind of would match up and work. So I think that would be a really big one. That with the live service, I think would probably be the major two of my top two focus. I would say of the things that I said, cut away from the live service and get the subscription service back to normal.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Good points there. Adam, do you want to go next, or you want me to go?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay.
I'm basically kicking the door down, and I'm like, all right, I need all these things done stat. Number 1, PSVR 2. Make it open for PC usage, or cancel it right now. We need to get that shit off the shelf because it's wasting us money right now. It is wasting resources. We can be doing so many better things. The tech is great, but if it's not getting in people's hands, it's not worthwhile. So either open it up or get rid of it. PlayStation Premium, cancel it. PlayStation Essential, cancel it. It's extra or bust. You're going to make money from the people that move up, and you're also going to get rid of, and you're also like going to get more people to use it more because there's going to be a little bit more in the service. It's ridiculous that retro games, PS3 games, cloud streaming, and fucking demos are put behind the biggest tier. Put that all in one tier. A couple of people are going to cry because they don't have Essential anymore. Tough shit. You'll pay a couple extra bucks. You'll be fine. When it comes to AAA games, half them completely half their time and budgets. They do not all need to be AAA. You can make a bunch of games that are going to get made in 2 to 3 years tops, and you will be fine putting them at $50. And then the last thing I would do immediately is start sending a bunch of our guys to different shows, your PAXs, all your different trade shows, and start looking at indie studios, very small independent run studios, and we are going to open a label. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but we are going to open a small indie label where we basically take small, really low budget games that are being made by like a team of less than 5 people. And every month for State of Play, because we're going to do State of Plays monthly, we're going to show off, here's our X brand that we're doing for PlayStation. Here's the indie games that we are putting in there. And I don't know what their cut is. We take like, I don't know, 10, 20% cut of their any profits that they make off of the PlayStation Store. I don't know what it is normally with digital processing, but because we're going to help them with marketing, we're going to help them with, you know, any like they have like some sort of support line they can call with people in our offices that they can also look like for help with things if they're looking for ideas or anything to bounce off of in terms of tech, anything like that we can do to help them make their games faster and get them to do more so that we have bigger and better independent games so that we are the home for all of that. And make sure that we're putting those on extra as well so it makes us the home for the best indie games on the market, because Sony's mantra for the last couple of generations has been, we have the best games in all of gaming. No questions asked. And if we keep that with AAA games, our biggest ones, your Horizons, your God of Wars, your Spider-Mans being the top tier of AAA, you now have your smaller studios pumping out $40, $50 games that are still high-end, not quite completely damaging your wallet, but still offer you 5 to 15 hour experiences that are top tier quality. And then on extra, you were guaranteed monthly that you were going to get the best independent games on the market. You know that this console that you're buying is the home for the best games no matter what your price point is. That is the key. We make everything either open to as many people as possible like we are with the VR2, and by opening up just one single tier for the PlayStation Plus, or we straight up make the gaming the best of no matter where it is so that people come there and expect nothing but the highest of quality. If you do anything more than that, you're going way part out of your scope, and we've seen no matter what they do, when Sony tries to get a little bit too far out of their comfort zone, they fail almost every time. We cut all of that shit. We know what we're good at. We're good at making top tier games, and we're good at getting people in the door with our consoles. Make sure it's valuable to them and make sure that the library is great. And the last thing but not least is, I don't know if it's going to be Kevin Butler or not, but go back to making Mimi commercials, because that is what got people in the door in the first place.
First of all, I would like to say that I liked everything I said, but Adam's delivery was way fucking better.
Oh my god,
He just
yeah. I'm like,
kicked the door in.
I'm wrong,
dude, you're
like-
hired. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm probably
Also, just-
actually fired immediately because they're like, you're not making us enough money with live service games, you fucking idiot.
And I love what you said about the commercials at the end there. That was actually like a surprise for me, and I feel joy from that.
Well, that was the thing. Like PS2 or PS2, I guess PS3 era, like Sure, the console in the early days of PS3 sucked, but goddamn, those commercials were fun.
Yeah,
So
they
good.
were good.
Like,
So
look, I
good.
said, it doesn't have to be Kevin Butler. You can find a fucking teenager who is really good at what they do and have them do something.
They tried that.
And you
They
get
tried
the young
that.
audience.
It did not go good. They tried it with that. It did not go well.
You can do it again. Just have somebody actually not like shit. Like, make sure you have a team of people that actually know what they're fucking talking about instead of a bunch of old men that think they know because what they saw on Twitter yesterday is going to be what qualifies as being hip with the kids.
They saw it on X.
You do proper actual fucking PR research. You do proper focus group testing instead of having a bunch of freaking businessmen in the room, and make sure you do this right. And by the way,
Chris,
if it fails the first time, try something else and keep doing it until it works, because I'm pretty sure the Kevin Butler thing was purely by accident. So you might have to trip into it twice. Either way, fucking find it, because your commercials and your state of plays are fucking boring.
Chris, take a note. Episode topic for when it's quiet. We should just rank all, like, just watch all the Kevin Butler commercials and just rank them.
That would be a Patreon thing if we did that one day. That'd be a great Patreon thing.
It'd be a great day. I'm just showing up no matter what.
I'm not going to deviate too far from you guys. I got a couple things that are changed. I think we're all in agreement. Games of service gotta go. This is not something. For me, what I want to do is I want to make PlayStation a premium experience, right? This is what the PS4 was. This is for the players. Greatness awaits, all that kind of stuff. And I know those are just buzzwords and terms and whatever, but I want to make this a premium experience. I feel like Xbox has the value, right? Like, they're not necessarily the best games in the world. They kind of get overshadowed. Like, think of this year, like, I'm loving Starfield, but like, it got overshadowed by Baldur's Gate. You know, Redfall came out, kind of a dud. Like, you're not looking at Xbox for the greatest experience. Like, this is not the thing that you kind of bring your like wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, your non-gamer friends and say, check this out, right? This is not the thing that you buy a massive TV and hook up to like an awesome man cave to play some of these games. And I think that's where PlayStation shines. I think PlayStation is and has been a premium experience, right? This is when you buy a PlayStation game, for the most part, you are getting quality, right? And I think that's what PlayStation kind of tripped on. I think with things like, what's that? What was that Square Enix game that came out this year? Forspoken. That one's kind of a dud. Like, the PlayStation Store is getting filled with garbage. Like, I think Sony needs to reel it in and almost go the Nintendo route. Go the Nintendo route for mature adult gamers, right? Where, hey, when you look at that, when you get that PlayStation Studios logo, it's a seal of quality, right? The games aren't buggy. The games are high quality. You're going to get the best graphics. You're going to get the best gameplay. You're going to get the best stories. And that's what I would do. I'm not ruling out games as service, but I want it to be an organic place where studios want to work with you. Studios want to be part of you. There's very little oversight in the sense that, like, if you want to make a games as service and you have a vision, go for it. You want to make a single player story, go for it, right? I want there to be some sort of creative license that, you know, they like studios want to work with you, right? I think that, so I would kind of leverage that and kind of go with those IPs and I think that leans more towards first person single player experiences, but also you've got a huge library out there. And I think that you can kind of leverage old IP, and maybe it's not the same people who made it, but you start leveraging that IP out to other partners, to other studios. What does a like a SOCOM game look like from Sucker Punch, right? Kind of just dip it in and share those IP around. So I would kind of double down and just go with IP and make it content that people want to create themselves, not something that's pushed down from a higher up business decision. I think I would go the live service route. I would go the opposite of what Xbox is doing. So I wouldn't make it a one size, here's your games, go out and buy it like Adam would, but rather what I would do is I'd rather make it an a la carte service. So we're now going to break it apart. And if you want to, if you're just a single player person, you can buy the cloud backup for $5 a month. You got cloud storage, your saves are up there. You don't have to buy anything else. If you want to play multiplayer, there's an extra $10. Great. Hey, you want to play some of our classic games? There's an extra $10 on that. Like, kind of stack it up. And I don't have the pricing or anything like that, but I'd like to see it more of an a la carte sort of service that you buy what you need, because I don't want premium. I don't want extra. Really, the only thing I really use PlayStation like Plus for is the cloud saves. That's the one thing that matters the most to me. And I'm paying quite a bit every month just to have the cloud saves. Like, I'm not downloading the games. I'm not playing online. So like, I don't feel like I want to buy that. And if they kind of said, hey, you have to go this one route, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to subscribe to PlayStation Plus next time it needs to renew, because it's just further and further not becoming worth my time. Going back to the gameplay aspect, if we're going that premium route, I think I want to kind of copy what Nintendo does, and that when a game gets launched, that price stays there, whether that's for either if it's a longer period of time and then slowly comes down. But I think the idea of a game coming out and then 6 months later being on sale, like, I don't know, like, I think if we're going to make premium games, then the price of them is going to stay that premium price. And that's a way to kind of recoup the losses on that. So for me, like, I would do that, have more games that are of the quality, that like high quality games that developers are passionate about, and have those prices reflect, in terms of fewer sales, prices staying high. I would make the online service more customizable and more focused. And maybe even you have a tier where PlayStation premium games are on there a year out, but like you kind of say, hey, these games are going to come out within a year. If you want to wait that long, great. If not, you can buy it at $60 until then. And then the peripherals, I'd kind of be more focused. And if you're going to do it, make it that it's meaningful, right? I feel like VR came out and died, and there was no force to it. I feel like Portal, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I feel like if they're going to double down on something, focus on it. Like they did that with the PlayStation Portable, and that was great. They started for the first little while with PlayStation Vita, and then that died. But like, if you're going to make a peripheral, make it worthwhile and make it premium and make it supported. And I think that's kind of what Sony needs to do. Like, I think they need to come in and carve their own space. Stop competing with Microsoft. Stop competing with Nintendo. Make yourself a premium experience that people will come to you for, not that you are saying, hey, we do that too. And for me, that's what Sony would look like. So, yeah.
I forgot one thing with mine that I realized as you were talking. Get on the phone with either Atlas or Nihon Falcom and ask them what their price is, because Xbox is encroaching on our JRPG territory, and I'm not happy about it. If I was the president of Sony, I'd be like, they're taking our territory. We can't have that.
Yeah.
And people will be like, well, what about Square Enix? What about Square Enix? Have you seen their budgets? We don't need their bullshit in this company. I know I said before that if I was Sony, I'd be going after Square. Now that I really think about it, unless we're completely cutting the person who's in charge of budgeting their games, no, I don't want them, actually.
I think Square's value is in their IP. It's not in their development houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're literally taking all of their IP and putting it to other studios to do. No. You get a hold of Atlas or Neon Falcom, who are they're very much focused. Like, Atlas is basically Persona and like the odd little thing. Falcom is basically Trails and Ease, and that's really all they do. Square, on the other hand, is this, and this, and it used to be way more than that, and they sold some of those IPs off. So, like,
I think
get specialists in there. Like, again, if we were going, like, we could even pass this around to all three of you, or all two of you. I'm one of the three. Why am I saying all three? If we were gonna take any more studios in, I don't want to get big ones. I basically want like people that are going to be specialized in something, and that's all they're doing. In the same way that like they were getting smaller studios like Blue Point and stuff like that. I don't want to suddenly take on a Square or a Capcom or a Konami or anything like that. Don't worry about all this shit. Get somebody who you know exactly what they're there for and fill in a gap that you don't have right now.
Honestly, I agree. I think if I was Sony, like, I would, for those larger ones like Square Enix and stuff, I would try and lock those down like second party studios, in the sense like they used to do with was it Insomniac? Was it Insomniac or Sucker Punch? Who did what's that game? Sunset Overdrive.
What's that?
I always get the two confused.
Insomniac.
Insomniac. Yeah, so like lock down those big publishers and those big developers like your Ubisoft as second parties if you can. Have them at like a hand's distance that you don't have to, incur their bullshit, but you're still getting the benefit. But I would look for those small to medium tiers, like a company that I would be if I was my PlayStation. Like, go for your Atlas, go for your Eidos, right? Like, Eidos is now independent. Right, they're making those.
If you're looking into live service, go for people that are already doing well. Go for Behavior, who do Dead by Daylight. Go for, oh my god, what's the company that does Killing Floor?
Eidos does it right now with Hitman.
Go for studios that are like, don't suddenly have Naughty Dog doing live service. Go get somebody who's already doing that,
and doing it well.
It's not going to cost you as much. I was going to say,
Square
we're the
Enix
guys who
with
do
Avengers.
Payday, but we've seen the Payday 3 is not exactly going very well. So never mind. They're off the list now.
But you know what? No. So like Payday would be an example in the sense that like, hey, they've proven that they can do it. They know how to do it. Maybe they need some.
We can debate it now because they haven't really
No,
done
no.
it since.
No. So here's the thing. Payday 3, yeah, total disaster. I'm not trying to say that. But they've proven that they know how to do it. Like they've done Payday 2, they've done Payday 3. Sure, there might be some refinement. There might be some like some changes that need to be made, but they at least have that live service DNA in them.
Yeah. I mean, there's
That's
plenty of companies
easier
you
to
can
move
go
that.
from. Again, like the guys who do Deep Rock Galactic. Like there are plenty out there that are currently proven that are doing the model decently. Get them if you're going the live service. Don't suddenly put it on all your other developers who have been making something else for their entirety.
I would argue it's a better decision to take a crappy or undervalued or like a smaller as service game and make it good than it is to take a good studio that doesn't do it and transition it to a live service, right? And I think that's what they need to do. And you got to think that like also for every studio that is making a live service game is one that they're not making a single player game, which is what they're known for, right? You're taking your A team to go do work to go put them in B tier roles that they're not used to. So now you have no one covering your A team either.
Yeah.
And at the same time too, they're doing with licenses that really you don't need to be ruining with that stink of a live service. Because I mean, look, like the only reason that people are still like, I almost even wonder if like the sort of like not really high vibes for Spider-Man 2 is because also people are just kind of like not happy with Marvel games right now because all they think about is Avengers still. And especially now that it's shut down, like that kind of ruined a little bit of the feeling of Marvel games, even though we know Spider-Man 2 is going to be perfectly fine, but the hypes died because we realized, oh crap, Marvel's human. There are bad games again for it. In the same way that like, I mean, wait, you know, we could even do this as a side quest one day where we go through a bunch of their old IP that they don't use anymore and see what actually might fit well for live service. But like right now, like if they decided like, cause there's the whole thing about them wanting to make a multiplayer Horizon. No, stop.
Yeah,
not everything needs to be It's the same thing that we had in the old PS3, like Xbox 360 era. Not everything needs a fucking multiplayer.
God of War multiplayer, remember that for Ascension?
No, I don't actually.
It was garbage.
Yeah.
The only exception to that rule was Mass
Uncharted.
Effect 3's multiplayer, and that was a fucking like diamond in the rough. A lot of people really didn't look at that. You had to really dig into what that game offered.
Best sleeper hit multiplayer was Assassin's Creed. That was the best sleeper hit multiplayer.
Yes. I was just about to say that one because I was going in for the trophies, obviously, back then. And I was like, oh, what's this multiplayer? And then all of a sudden you're like hiding in benches waiting for people to
I'm
walk by.
surprised
And
they
you
haven't just done a
assassinate them.
standalone of that and actually put some proper work into it.
Putting proper
They looked
work into it.
they looked
That
at
would be
factions and are like, no, we're not doing that.
amazing.
No, but like factions was totally like not factions. Assassin's Creed, like that was one that Jen would sit on the couch with me. And like she's not playing, but she would just be like, "Is that person?" Like she would be out there and be like watching for like the mix-ups and the glitches. And I thought that was such an awesome idea. But like, yeah, get ones that have proven that they can do it. Like it's not impossible. It's not a bad idea for Sony to go as games as service, but it's a bad idea to take your A team developers from what they do best to push them towards the live service. And that's I think the big
Yeah, I mean
mistake
to really sum up, like I think all three of us together are like what we really want is play to your strengths and stop trying to do things that you're not good at.
Agreed. Yeah.
And also bring back Kevin Butler.
Yeah.
And that I think is actually my number one takeaway is definitely that with those commercials.
We're definitely
I think we're all going to be watching at least one commercial after the show's done.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And with that, playing to our strengths, we are going to wrap up the show on a high note. Thanks so much for joining, ladies and gentlemen. If you like that, we post episodes every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you get your podcasts. Or we can also post it on Spotify if you want to see our faces. We also do it on YouTube, so you can see this while you listen to that. So do that. If you want to be part of the show, part of the channel, be connecting with us and fellow fans, we have a whole bunch of socials. You can find them on linktr.ee/PixelPlay Podcast. And with that, I've been one of your hosts, Kaylan, aka Catastrophe, joined as always by my co-host Adam at CS Radical and Chris at Gin and Chris. And with that, we'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.